Night at 6 on TV.
Tax, and President Reagan says again that prosperity is just around the corner. That's part of what the lame duck Senate left in its trail as it limped home tonight. Phil Jones and Leslie Stahl report that few were sorry to see the senators go.
Mr. President, this is Howard Baker. Senator Byrd and I are together here on the telephone.
It was midday when the Senate leaders were finally able to call the president to tell him that this lame duck Congress had finally died.
Mr. President, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year.
Most of the members arrived today ready to hand Senators Helms and East, who had paralyzed the Senate by a filibuster on the gas tax, a dramatic and emphatic repudiation. Air Force planes were furnished to fly some senators back to Washington, including Barry Goldwater, who interrupted his recuperation from heart surgery. Goldwater characteristically minced few words.
Whoever called it a lame brain Congress, or a lame brain session, I think hit it right on the head.
On the floor, senators voted 81-5 to stop the filibuster, and moments later, the gas tax passed with ease. However, 16 Republicans voted against their president. The nickel-a-gallon tax will cost the average motorist about $30 a year more in taxes to help pay for highway improvements and to provide jobs. Helms was trying to mend fences today, sitting beside Simpson, who earlier in the week had called Helms's performance obnoxious. But Democrats saw Helms's scars as lasting.
Well, the damage really is to the radical right. Their leader has taken a very deep fall. His agenda will be given short shrift in the next session of the Congress.
Senators Helms and East had no apologies.
I guess I felt that I was in a position of having nobody with me except the people.
I think this is a bad bill. I think it's bad tax policy. I think the timing is bad in time of recession.
As senators left, they recalled the words of their colleague, Senator Mitchell of Maine, today, who had quoted Oliver Cromwell's remarks to a rump session of the English Parliament. Said Cromwell, "Depart, I say, let us have done with you. In the name of God, go." Said Senator Mitchell, "In the name of God, let us vote and go." They did. Phil Jones, CBS News, Capitol Hill.
His friends call him an incorrigible optimist. That's the side of President Reagan reporters saw today at an unscheduled news conference. Despite the harsh criticism by others of Congress, Mr. Reagan was effusive in his praise, actually congratulating the members for the lame duck session, particularly for passing his gas tax. As he has done consistently, he predicted that economic recovery is around the corner.
I am convinced that this coming year, 1983, is going to see a definite upturn. I wish that I could promise that unemployment would instantly respond, but we know from 7 previous experiences since World War II that it doesn't.
And the president offered a new proposal for creating jobs.
If a lot of businesses would take a look and see if they could hire just one person, it'd be interesting to see how much we could reduce those unemployment rolls. There are more businesses in the United States than there are unemployed.
Are you frustrated by the inability of your administration to turn this unemployment situation around?
No, because I think that we have put in place a sound program.
Yet the budget deficit continues to grow. White House officials confirmed that their end of October projection of $180 billion deficit for next year is now close to $190 billion. The president says the greatest single factor is the recession, with millions of unemployed workers who no longer pay taxes but get government benefits instead. Leslie Stahl, CBS News, the White House.
What may be a sign of better times ahead on the unemployment front, the number of Americans filing new claims for unemployment benefits fell to 533,000 in the week ending December 11th. While still very high by historical standards, that is the lowest number of new claims since July, and it could mean the recent surge in the U.S. jobless rate may be nearing its end. One matter the lame duck Congress didn't get around to could become a Christmas Eve ghost. The problem, the Supreme Court gave Congress until December 24th to alter the nation's bankruptcy court system, which the Supreme Court declared unconstitutional last June. When it became clear Congress wouldn't act in time, the Reagan administration asked the Supreme Court for an extension. Today, without comment, the High Court said no, leaving the increasingly heavily burdened federal bankruptcy courts in legal limbo.
kind of people drink Sanka brand? People like Guy Dill, sculptor.
Working on a huge scale, I've got to be very steady with chisel and hammer. So when I break for coffee, I drink Sanka brand decaffeinated coffee. It tastes great.
That's good.
And it's 97% caffeine free. So even though too much caffeine bothers me, Sanka can't give me the jitters, and I can concentrate on my work.
Sanka brand for people who love coffee but not caffeine.
Whitman's Chocolates, a delicious Christmas tradition ever since 1842.
Well, it was like a little bit of California in the Midwest today, with the temperature hitting a record high 62 degrees in Chicago. But from California, Jerry Bowen reports what winter's first big storm brought to the far west.
When the storm blew in last night, the Golden Gate Bridge became a swaying landmark, moving 5 feet from side to side. It was closed for the first time in 30 years. Tall buildings in downtown San Francisco swayed too. Some were evacuated. And there were power blackouts rippling across Southern California, Nevada, and Arizona. 8,000 people evacuated from Disneyland when the lights went out. Las Vegas in the dark too, except for the Strip, where emergency generators kept the dice rolling. The tri-state power loss was caused when high winds felled these transmission towers 50 miles east of San Francisco. Electric company officials say they deliberately cut the power on some customers to keep the entire Northwest power system from failing. As the storm moved to the Sierra Nevada mountains, it dumped 4 feet of new snow on Truckee, California. Travelers were stranded, passes closed. At least 9 deaths in California are blamed on the storm, and traffic accidents are routine. 40 vehicles were involved in a series of weather-related pileups on Interstate 5 north of Los Angeles. Hundreds of trucks simply pulled off the road because of hazardous conditions. And the storm has already moved on to the Rocky Mountain states. No question, say forecasters, there will be snow for Christmas in a large part of the West and Great Plains. Jerry Bowen, CBS News, Los Angeles.
There was no school today in the community of California, Pennsylvania. As Andrea Naverson reports, that has nothing to do with the holiday. Nothing at all.
It's just 2 days before Christmas, but in this old coal and steel community in southwestern Pennsylvania, there's little cause for cheer. The school district is deeply divided over a teacher's strike, the longest in state history. Today, students put on a protest of their own, a plea to return to the classroom.
We want the school board and the teachers to get down and negotiate. That's all we ask them to do. Get us back in school.
And it's just we've been out of school for how many months, and another day, the same thing you do day after day. Christmas time doesn't seem special anymore.
About a mile away, teachers continue to walk the picket lines in defiance of a court order. They've been on strike for more than 50 days, in part over job security and pay. Bitter issues in an area already depressed by layoffs in the steel industry.
We're prepared to strike till hell freezes over.
The board now is asking that there be the board would have reserve the right to lay off anyone and anyone it so desires. And that's the fundamental problem on that issue.
The school board wants the right to lay off teachers because of concern over declining enrollments. But students who met with board members today remain unconvinced, especially those bound for college.
Now, you mean to tell me that I am going to be denied my education and I will not be able to attend those schools because we don't have a school board that can negotiate because we have a layoff clause?
As in years past, there's a tree in front of the Borough Hall. The street is lined with wreaths. What's missing this year, one parent says, is Christmas spirit. Andrea Naverson, CBS News, California, Pennsylvania.
Word from the White House that it has completed its own preliminary review of the controversy, critics call it a scandal, at the Legal Services Corporation. The controversy that President Reagan's appointees to the board of the corporation, which is supposed to give free legal service to the poor, put in for $156,000 in consulting fees, more than double the fees charged last year. Says White House counselor Edwin Meese. 2 reasons for the fees: Congress raised the per diem rate allowable, and the board members, he says, met more often than last year. Meese also repeated the Reagan administration contention that the Legal Services Corporation for the Poor ought to be abolished. Japan today cut tariffs on some 70 agricultural and industrial items, from raisins to tractors. Tariffs on some items were eliminated. More cuts, ones the U.S. has pressed for, will be announced tomorrow for tobacco, cookies, and chocolate.
Need any help? Oh, the movers are here. I'm still packing. I have a headache, and I can't find the aspirin.
Take my Bufferin. Plain aspirin's smart, but it can upset your stomach. Taking Bufferin is smarter. It's a special kind of aspirin pain reliever. Look, some stomachs can be delicate, like this crystal, and plain aspirin can upset them. Bufferin gives aspirin relief, plus special buffers that help protect against stomach upset. How do you feel now?
Oh, lots smarter.
Bufferin is smarter. Also an extra strength.
We asked Kathy Edge if she thought her denture cleanser could clean away cherry stain.
Probably could.
What about a stain of cherry and tea?
I don't think it would do a job on that.
Or a triple stain of cherry, tea, and tobacco?
I'd say definitely not.
Then watch Extra Strength Efferdent attack a triple stain of cherry, tea, and even tough tobacco with Efferdent's powerful Blue Action formula.
It's whiter than I could ever imagine. Sparkling clean in between. I'm going to use Efferdent.
Extra Strength Efferdent removes even stubborn stains between teeth.
Jordan's King Hussein returned to the White House today for a second meeting with President Reagan. While Hussein did not agree to join Mr. Reagan's proposed Middle East peace talks, he did say his return visit had been very successful. Mr. Reagan said they made significant progress, and one U.S. official said the meeting was just not more of the same old stuff. Bombs exploded today at the Israeli consulate in Sydney, Australia, and in a garage under a suburban Jewish recreation club. 2 people were injured. One bomb tore through the walls of the consulate on the 7th floor of a high-rise building. Israel blames Palestinian terrorists, but the PLO immediately denied responsibility. A claim of responsibility for the Australian blast was made by a group demanding that all foreigners leave Lebanon. In Moscow, Polish military ruler General Jaruzelski held his first extensive talks today with the Soviet Union's new leader, Yuri Andropov. Andropov accepted an invitation to visit Poland, but no date was announced. In Poland, all the remaining scores of labor activists and others who'd been interned under martial law were freed today so they could be home for Christmas. But 7, all Solidarity leaders, didn't make it home. They were arrested immediately or on unspecified charges. Peter Schweitzer is in Warsaw.
What is your hope that you would like to express to us?
Well, that we will succeed, that we will overcome one day.
Janusz Onyszkiewicz was released from Białowieża prison outside Warsaw this evening. Today, the Polish authorities ordered the release of all the remaining internees, 1 week before the official suspension of martial law. Thousands have been detained at one time or another during the course of the last year. About 100 are believed to have been released today. Tomasz Jastrun was interned for a month. He's a writer.
We are in the same situation from 200 years, in the same situation, and of course it's very difficult to think about the future now.
For these 8 men, there was celebration outside the prison gates, but yesterday, they told us, the authorities arrested 5 of their colleagues, all outspoken Solidarity leaders, and took them to Rakowiecka prison. Lech Walesa told CBS News the arrests were a dirty trick played against them. In a Warsaw apartment, Maciek Bulinski's mother was waiting. History is repeating itself, she said. My husband was detained fighting the Nazis. Bulinski was a transport worker and a full-time Solidarity member. He asked his son, "Did you miss your father? Do you know where he was?" "Yes, you were on vacation." Bulinski and his family will have Christmas together at home. Peter Schweitzer, CBS News, Warsaw.
The president of Argentina, General Ronaldo Bignoni, announced tonight that national elections will be held no later than next November and that the 8-year-old military government will step down. Last year, you may recall, the White House accused Libya's radical leader, Colonel Muammar Gaddafi, of sending hit teams out after President Reagan and other American officials, and that the Libyan leader's general penchant for terrorist causes led to the restrictions on American exports to Libya. Well, today, the White House confirmed it is reviewing the Boeing company's request to sell $600 million worth of commercial jet planes to Libya.
business. To be in the picture, you gotta be good.
Good and fast, like Canon's NP300F, 30-letter size copies a minute.
You gotta give and take.
Canon's 300F gives you reduction and document feeding. Even sorts it all out with optional sorter.
In today's leaner, trimmer business picture,
You need the good stuff.
and nothing but the Canon NP300F. Call toll-free for information or see your authorized Canon dealer.
What kind of people drink Sanka brand? People like Joe Zabrowski, underwater welder.
I love my coffee, but too much caffeine makes me tense. Down here, I can't afford that, so I drink Sanka brand decaffeinated coffee. In this sea air, hot coffee tastes especially good, and Sanka brand's 100% real coffee. So for me, it's just smart to drink Sanka brand.
Sanka brand, for people who love coffee, but not caffeine.
The gunman in New York's Chinatown last night operated with ferocity and efficiency. And Richard Wagner reports that behind the violence is a frightening and familiar pattern.
It was just after 2:30 this morning when 3 masked men walked into a Chinatown restaurant and started shooting. In seconds, 11 Chinese boys and young men were hit. 3 were killed, ages 13, 17, and 21. At least 1 of the 8 wounded is in critical condition.
This guy's the worst. Seriously, the most critical.
It was the worst incidence of violence yet in the continuing battle to dominate criminal activity here among Chinatown's rival gangs. Later today in Chinatown, it was difficult to find anyone who would talk about the shootings. This collective silence is a major problem for police investigating the incident.
In any ethnic community where there's a language problem and an identity problem, people who are recent immigrants, they may come from a society where the police are not always there to protect its citizenry, and consequently it makes it very difficult to reach these people and to get them to come forward.
The old notion that the United States Chinese communities are picturesque neighborhoods of strong family ties, respect for elders and the law, is long out of date. Chinese communities in this country began to change dramatically with the easing of immigration laws in 1965. There are more than 800,000 Chinese here now, the largest Asian population in this country. 5 years ago, 5 people were killed and 11 wounded in a gangland shooting in a restaurant in San Francisco's Chinatown. Chinese communities are now desperately overcrowded, and work for young people can be hard to find. The explosion of gangland activity among Chinese youth is no shock to sociologists.
For most families, both parents work 60 hours a week, and so the kids are very much left alone, and there are a lot of social problems with the youth.
Sociologists also say gang activity among young Chinese really should surprise no one in this country. Crowded into an ethnic ghetto, unemployed and subject to discrimination, they turn to crime. Looking back over our history, you could say the young Chinese are just becoming Americanized. Richard Wagner, CBS News, New York.
The New Hampshire Supreme Court today ruled 4 nuns have the right to sue their bishop for a public hearing on the church's decision to dismiss them as parochial school teachers. The nuns were dismissed as teachers at the Sacred Heart School in Hampton on grounds of cliquishness and lack of cooperation. A lower court said the nuns could not sue their bishop because of the separation of church and state. But today the state Supreme Court ruled religious entities are not totally immune from responsibility under the civil law. In his commentary tonight, Bill Moyers looks for optimism without rose-colored glasses.
A man I admire recently sat by the bed of his closest friend dying from cancer. And the other day he asked a question a journalist finds hard to answer. How does one live optimistically in a pessimistic time? It's a hard one for the journalist because the grist of this business is not the stuff of happy expectancy. You see too many humans die, suffer, go mad, lie, steal from their neighbors, dishonor their families, betray the nation, and make fools of themselves. Occasionally, you make a fool of yourself, too, and you want to cry out about our times as Samuel Pepys did of his 3 centuries ago. My God, what an age that requires a man to play the knave. Every generation can say the same. Adam reportedly told Eve on the way out of the garden, well, my dear, we live in a time of transition. And the great historian Huizinga said of the Middle Ages that it was fashionable to see only the suffering and the misery, to discover everywhere the signs of decadence, to condemn the times and to despise them. That's a temptation today. we have our problems. The weak are down, and the rest of us are weary. There is even some evidence we have lost heart for the struggle to make a multiracial society work, and that we might abandon the quest for social justice as too expensive and strenuous, if not impossible. The enemies of society abound, and most of us have too much wreckage in our private lives to worry about the state of the nation, much less the world. And yet the ferments and acids that make our times so difficult make them exciting too. So many people refuse to quit that no journalist can yet close the notebook on this common human endeavor. That's the other side of the story we cover, and the answer to my friend's question. Every time I prepare to write an obituary of our times, I hear the sound of a newborn child, or am touched by the reach of a friend, or see the light in the eyes of young lovers, or behold an act of courage by a public servant, or see two people married 56 years lean on one another. And in such moments, I hear again the wings of angels and yield to belief once more.
Burlington weaves its way through your life with luxurious towels for the bath, designer sheets for the bed, thermal draperies to keep you warmer in winter, cooler in summer, beautifully finished handcrafted all-wood furniture, and simply sensational BioFresh carpets in luscious shades. All made better by Burlington.
An impossible dream is about to come true. An airplane called Solar Challenger will fly the English Channel powered by nothing but sunshine. It took vision and hard work and a whole new technology to get it off the ground. It took DuPont Kevlar, Mylar, Delrin, and Nomex. But these ultralight, ultra-strong DuPont materials made more than a dream come true. They're helping to launch America's first fuel-efficient jets. DuPont, makers of better things for better living.
Hi, I'm Paul Revere. I've been on the road all night, racing around, gulping coffee, and chicken pot pie for dinner, sitting here like a rock. Dog ripped my pants. And you know, I still don't think half of them believe me. It's enough to give a patriot an upset stomach.
Upset stomach, Pepto-Bismol. It coats, soothes, relieves.
I guess I'm just not a night person.
Jack Webb, the laconic Joe Friday of radio and television's pioneering police series Dragnet, died today at his West Hollywood home. Jack Webb, who was 62, apparently suffered a heart attack. Flags at Los Angeles police stations were flown at half-staff in recognition of Webb's services to the community. Webb was producer and star of Dragnet, which paid careful attention to the routine of police work. Phrases from the series quickly became cliches. It's my job, I'm a cop, and just the facts, ma'am, and only the names have been changed to protect the innocent. Jack Webb appeared in other television programs and movies, but he will be remembered as Joe Friday, just a cop.
How was entry made?
That window.
Looks like a pry bar. Good 15-foot drop to the street down there.
I just know Mary isn't guilty. She's just too nice.
Well, if she's that nice, she isn't guilty.
Yes.
And if she's guilty, she's not that nice.
Next is a story about two old men, some thugs, and violence. As Terry Drinkwater reports, it's a kind of Christmas story.
It isn't much of a house, a tough neighborhood, too. But for years, the Koenig brothers, alone together, had a good life here. That's Herman. He's 85 and a little deaf. That's William. He's 95 and going blind. And what happened to them has touched and outraged a lot of people. They were robbery victims, but they went down swinging.
Came up the steps, opened my door, and there's this guy right on top of me, a young fellow, about 20 years old.
Did you resist him or try to...
Oh, yeah, I fought him out. I got rid of him.
What did you do?
I had a club there, and I hit him on the shoulder with it.
That first time, Herman clubbed him with a table leg hard enough to scare him away. 4 days later, Herman was back to his routine, hobbling home from the market. It was a long 4-block walk, mostly uphill, Herman would pull a cart full of his groceries. But this time, Herman was being followed by another young tough. This one had a knife. William heard him come into the house.
So my brother hollered at me, and I fought this fellow off again and got rid of him.
How'd you do it that time?
I kicked him where it hurts the most.
As Herman kicked, William beat on the robber with one of his crutches, and that robber fled too. William and Herman made the newspapers, heroes. But the next time, a week later, there were two robbers. They beat the brothers badly, ransacked their home, and stole their life savings, $800.
They come up to the door and got busted in. And before we could get up off of the chairs, they had us by the throat.
Knocked my brother down, and then two of them jumped on me. Like, I can handle one of them, but not two.
Herman and William wound up in the hospital, battered but lucky to be alive. It's unlikely their attackers will ever be caught. But as news of their beating spread, money and letters began arriving at police headquarters.
Please let Herman and Bill know that people do think and care about them. I know that my check isn't much, but it's something to show that I and my wife care about these men.
How has San Francisco changed in all the years you've...
It's changed from a good place to a robbery joint.
A robbery joint?
Gosh, you can't walk down the street with what you get.
I'd be glad to get out of here.
There's enough money now to make Herman and William comfortable. They'll be sent to a nice, safe veterans home in the country, together.
Tell those old birds to hang in there. May they live to kick 1,000 more muggers in the butt.
You're a star.
I don't want to be.
Merry Christmas, Herman. Merry Christmas, William. Terry Drinkwater, CBS News, San Francisco.
Herman and William, this one's for you. The CBS Evening News this Thursday. Dan Rather reporting from New York. Good night.
Come on, the game's gonna start. All good things take time, huh?
Ever notice how when you really need a flashlight, you can never find one?
What happened to the lights? Nobody move. I'll get a flashlight.
Or when you do find one,
Here it is.
it almost never works. So Black & Decker invented the Spotlighter, the rechargeable light. The Spotlighter stores in its recharger, so it's always bright, always easy to find, always fully charged. The Spotlighter from Black & Decker.
But I thought you wanted to go.
And I thought you wanted to go.
Let's have some coffee and talk about it.
Times like these are made for Taster's Choice.
When it's time for decaffeinated, Taster's Choice Decaffeinated. A premium blend of coffee using only natural decaffeinators from the bean itself. The purest coffee flavor for your best coffee times.
Primetime television, a special look at the people and issues behind the scenes. Who are the decision makers and how do they think? CBS reports. Don't touch that dial. Thursday.
This is CBS.
The Metro Transit Authority got some help today when the nickel gas tax increase passed the Senate. We'll have that story. And we'll continue our special report on unemployment with a look at retraining, a new issue for the 80s. Coming up next on Eyewitness News.
We're our own competition. It's fun, it's challenging, it's even healthy. That's why there's a new Cocoa in Bandywood. You know Cocoa in Stanford Square, and now there's another Cocoa in Bandywood. It's a fascinating competition. Both Cocos are special. Both places are different. Both Cocos are designed where a woman can go for the magic. Cocoa in Stanford Square.